Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we'll be working on the week 2 algorithms. I went ahead and opened up module 4 where we have our algorithm. And the first thing we're going to do is logging even numbers. And so here is the readme for it. And this is where we have to write our code. Let's go ahead and open up the browser. We have log even numbers. I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller so I have a larger coding area and our console is open. So we are ready to get started with this. So looking at the README, we have to print all even numbers from 0 up to the given number's argument inclusive. Okay, so given the number, we have to iterate through, and every even number we have to output it. Okay, and we have to print it to the console. So let's do that. We'll start by doing a for loop, and we'll set var I equal to 0, where I is less than or equal to number, because it's inclusive, and because we want even one, we want to go through every 2 instead of every iteration. And we're just going to console.log I. Running that, we pass the test on the right with our output at the bottom here. So a very straightforward solution. If you are aware that you can change how much you're iterating by here on I, you can use that to your advantage. Let's try another solution. So something I found out, the first week of solution is something called number.isInteger. And when you divide that by a value that is not an integer, for instance, that for a value that is not an integer, let's say 2.5, and you console log that, you should get true or false value. So we get a false for this. So given even numbers, whenever they're divided by 2, will always return an integer. We can use that to our advantage. So let's give that a go. So again, we will take use of the for loop. We'll go through every iteration this time, where I is less than or equal to the number, and then we will just do I++. And if number dot integer is integer of I divided by 2, then we console.log I. And if we run that, we should also get the correct value here whenever this runs. And there you go. We have found the second solution for this. This is a very straightforward solution, the first one. The second one is making use of a JavaScript method to determine if it's an integer. I like the first method better, but it's nice to be aware of different ways to solve things. Moving on to the second algorithm, we have countdown. And when let's go ahead and open up the developer console here with the console, and we want the countdown readme. Okay, so now for the countdown, basically print all numbers from numbers to 1, so we're counting down. So again, we can take advantage of another for loop, where I equals 0, where I is no. So we can do this like this. Where var I equals number, where I is greater than 0, because we want to stop at 1. So as soon as it hits 0, it should end. And we want to decrement I, since I will be equal to the value of the number where it will start. And then we will just console.log I, and that should give us the solution. There we go. So we start at 15 here, and we're just counting down all the way to 1. Now I'm wondering, is there another solution to this? There obviously is, because there always will be. So let's try something. So we're starting at 15. Why don't we just console log number minus minus and just exit the loop as soon as we hit 0. So if you don't know, you can have an infinite for loop here just by putting no values in for the parameters and just putting these semicolons in. And then now we want to check if number is equal to 0, we will break, else we will console.log number minus minus. And that should still give us the correct solution. I don't know why it's taking so long to run the Cloudflare CDN. Okay, so there's our solution 15 to 1. It uses an infinite for loop. We are checking the number equal to 0, then we break. If it does, otherwise we console log the number and then we decrement. So cool, another algorithm with more than one solution. It's pretty simple, but it's just an interesting approach to the problem. Now, the third one is supposed to be the hardest, so let's give it a try. Let's go ahead and open this third index. We'll open the console, and we will open the README, which is the sum array. So we are supposed to add all numbers in the given array argument and return the total. So this is the first time I can really show you guys a really cool method that you can use that I typically use to sum array. But let's go and just show you the typical way that you would approach this problem. So where I equals 0, where I is less than array.length I plus plus, and we just want to, so they want the actual value. I'm going to actually define a variable called sum. And then going through, we're just going to set sum, and we're going to add equal the array at value I, and then we will return sum. At the same time, we will console.log sum, so we can see what the sum is. And after the events, we'll just console log array 2. The CDN taking quite a while for the test for some reason, but that's okay. Okay, we can just refresh it, I guess. Let's do default browser. So looking at test 3, we will do open with default browser, close that, and we have the sum array. Looking at the console, it sums up to 108. Okay, and if we save that and then refresh it again, these are the values in the array: 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. And then it sums up to 108. Okay, so a way I like to solve this problem is by using a method for the arrays called reduce. And what it does is if we set sum equal to the array.reduce, where we have a total value as one of the parameters and the next array value, and then we basically do the total plus the next array value. Now, by default, total is the first index value of the array if it's not predefined. So I think we can just do that, right? Yeah, my bad. Okay, now we can refresh that, and if we console log sum, we get 108. And what this is doing is you have an accumulator value called total. And then by default, if you don't set a value, so if we set this to 5, it should be equal to 113. Yeah. So we have a default accumulator value here, which in this case is either 0 because we define it, or the first value of the array. And then this is the array item, the element in the array. So what we're doing, we're taking a total, which by default starts at 0, plus whatever is the value at index 1 is of the array. And then it holds the total value and then iterates to the next value of the array. Now there are two more parameters here. We have index, which will return the index of the array, and array, copy, which is actually the actual array. So I guess we could do, if we really wanted to be granular with this, we can do array at index, and I think it should still work. Yeah, that should still work because you are going through every index. And yeah, so we can also do array index. Yeah, so we can do that. I try to just use it for the accumulator because it's a very straightforward use case for reduce. I'm sure there are much more smarter people out there than me who can make better use of it. But generally, I just, for summing arrays, my typical solution would be something like this, where I would just return the sum and then refresh. And we get our answer here, which is sum array. So if you're interested in what the capabilities of reduce are, I encourage you to look it up, as well as check out some other videos from better coders than me. It is a very unique method that you could use, and I hope one day that I can master it. So this week's algorithm, I thought were pretty simple as well, but they do kick up in difficulty as the weeks go on. So hang in there if you're having trouble with these, and if these are super simple for you, just wait till next week, and maybe it'll be just a little bit more difficult. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.